Hello, my name is Andrey Lobanov, and we continue our course Self-Help Against Viral Infections, Prevention and Recovery. It is about ways to prevent and help recovery in various diseases and might include viruses and any other pathology, because the main purpose for us is to be ourselves and manage our bodies. We have been at the point that it is important to learn how to breathe correctly. 90% of people can't do that if they do not learn that on purpose. We are going to talk a little about functions of our pulmonary system. Breathing consists of three levels. First level is lower breathing that is provided by the diaphragm. The diaphragm is a muscular organ that has cupola shape in its relaxed state. When we tense this cupola, it goes down. It gives such a lowering movement, and thus there is a straightening of the pulmonary alveoli through the work of pleura. We have inner and outer pleura. With one end, it is pressed against the diaphragm and the other against the lung tissue. Because we make such pressure that occurs in the lungs, air goes in and fills up that opened volume. The next level is the thorax. When ribs are spread, well, there are special muscles that open them like fans, putting the ribs up, and there are other muscles that close fans, putting the ribs down. And we can control those muscles during special breathing exercises. They create the correct and gradual filling of the lung tissue from the bottom up. The tops of the lungs that don't ventilate at all, because in humans the muscle structure of the shoulder girdle is suppressed. Shoulders are slumped and slouched. Therefore, the lungs tissue is not ventilated at the top. Slight lifting of the collarbones by raising the shoulders frees up space in the lung tissue at the top. The whole breathing cycle looks like that. If we put the little finger on the navel and the thumb on the hypsoid process, here we can feel how our diaphragm circulates. Then we put the other hand on the thorax. It will show us that the thorax rises and the lungs are filled with air. Full exhale. Exhale through the nose, of course. Inhale. Exhale. It was the full inhale and exhale cycle. What happened? First, the diaphragm went down, and we could feel such a movement of the diaphragm. But it is quite difficult to control it on the beginners. That's why we can just feel how the diaphragm presses the internal organs, and they give us signals that the diaphragm has an impact on them. As a rule, that lowering motion is not big, just a few centimeters, but with practice it can be 8, 10 or more centimeters in the lowering of the diaphragm. This is a very important thing, because then it acts and massages the gastrointestinal tract, stomach, kidneys, liver, and so on. It is like we are getting the second heart that is very important, especially for people with high blood pressure, and it moves pressure, blood, from the abdominal cavity to the thoracic cavity through the portal vein, liver, and so on. We are getting that impact when we push the blood out with the diaphragm and exhale. The circulation is improved. After that, when we pull the diaphragm down and spread the lower ribs, the lower ribs are spread, extended, and go up. The thorax opens like this and like that, and the fan begins to open. We gradually fill the entire thorax. It is natural that air goes in because negative pressure is created. I mean, this air intake through the nose, the nasal passages, the trachea takes place when we get this volume, the place to go in. Well, the volume is created. Then, having that lower diaphragm, open the thorax, we slightly lift the collarbones. Not very high, just a little bit to feel that something is open here. After that, while holding that state, we begin to exhale from below. Release the diaphragm. A very important thing, we are not trying to put it somewhere. By the full breathing, the diaphragm just goes down and it naturally regains its cupola shape. This muscle has no antagonistic muscles. While the ribs have the muscle that pull them up and down, the diaphragm can just be tensed and relaxed. Relaxation comes on exhale. We release it and it goes up and up and up, and then the thorax connects from below, again from the below. We are closing it like a fan from below. And after that, the collarbones get involved. This is the whole breathing we must go through. It can be difficult to coordinate all three areas at first, but gradually, with an appropriate task, if you have a desire, you will master it. Then, we need to make the process longer, because when during the process more carbon dioxide accumulates, but only enough, not oxygen. The vessels expand, metabolic processes improve. Too much oxygen is bad, because the body works harder, has more oxidation processes, quicker wears out, gets older, and so on. If we burn more wood, put more and more, the fire gets stronger. Accordingly, there will be a lot of heat, but everything will quickly burn out. That's why the main goal of this practice is to control these inhale and exhale processes. Inhale lasts in ratio about 1 to 2. Inhale is slower. You need to give the opportunity to all metabolic processes which are getting started to end. I mean, they can't keep up if we breathe in and out like that. The air has no time to finish that metabolism. Some reactions must take place when red blood cells must come up to the lungs tissue and connect to the outer air. To attach and detach the necessary element, namely the oxygen, and delete CO2. Thus, it needs time, and you provide the time with such inhale and prolonged exhale. People who can't breathe with abdomen are prone to hysteria. This upper surface breathing appears when a person is always on edge, when his or her nervous system is always stimulated, and moreover, this is a state of wrong breathing. We can regulate our emotional state and state of mind due to the fact that we can switch to lower breathing. Try to argue and breathe with your abdomen. That's impossible. A person can argue when the air is here. when he or she is breathing only with top parts of the respiratory tract. When a person inhales, nerve impulses are automatically restored and the person comes to balance. When you start breathing, switch to lower breathing, and if you have physical overexcitement or nervous system excitation, it gradually fades away. After some breathing sets, 10 to 15 sets, you will feel dramatically different. Your blood pressure in the system between the chest and abdominal cavity is also restored. So, this is it. How to learn to breathe only with lower breathing. You need to learn separate phases of breathing, thus only the lower breathing. Again, we use the same thing here. Put the little finger on the navel and the thumb on the xiphoid process. And we press the thorax with the other hand and try to involve only the lower part of our lungs. Diaphragmatic breathing, lower breathing. Completely exhale. And involve only the diaphragm into your breathing. Your hand controls the thorax. It doesn't go up. You need to breathe like that, and if you can do 10 or 15 or more inhales, and if you have no need to inhale like this and recover your breath, that means you have done it right. Many people mimic lower breathing by sticking out the abdomen, but the diaphragm doesn't work, and so they can keep that breath-holding state for a long time, but after that they have shortness in breath. That means you have done it wrong. You can do it in lying position too. If you are lying, put your head in the same way. Well, I won't show it now, because it's easy to do on the floor, in bed, any place you are lying on, but your back should be straight. So, do it on a flat surface. You are on your back. Put your hand on the chest. It's easier to feel the abdominal cavity when your muscles are relaxed. The thorax rests and everything goes to the abdominal area. You should understand that you don't stick out your abdomen, don't contract the muscles, but push your diaphragm forth and down. The abdomen slightly sticks out and internal organs go down. While they're going down, you feel the pressure. That means the diaphragm works right. So that you can listen and remember. Your body must remember that feeling, and after some time you will be able to control your diaphragm with that feeling. In the same way, we control the work of our breathing muscles. By the way, you can feel the diaphragm if you put your hands under the ribs, especially in lying position, and you can feel how it moves under the ribs. You can put them closer. And when abdominal muscles are relaxed, we begin to feel the diaphragm, how it slightly presses out the abdomen by moving due to the fact that the organs in the abdominal cavity become displaced and stuck out in that way. Don't stick out your abdomen on purpose, don't tense it. It's a common mistake. Now the thorax. You control the thorax from the lower ribs. When you inhale, you start controlling. You can put both hands on your thorax. Well, on the lower ribs and in the center, we do it like this. The lower ribs pass the baton to the central part, and we begin to spread them, open them. You kind of create an image of a pot which is opened, and you hold it. It is very important to control your muscles, especially when you hold your breath. It is a very important thing not to develop any wrong processes in your lung tissue. You can get crisis if you work with these muscles in the wrong way. So, you need to control the muscles, but not because of sucking air. Some people have such illusion, such idea that we sniffle. When we do that, the diaphragm is clamped, and the lungs tissue is pressed up, and you breathe only with the upper part. With the control of the breathing muscles, we create volume. You need to understand that and first reproduce this model mentally, and then reproduce it in your body. We simply create volume for air, a pot with an open cover, and the air goes there. One more image of a pump piston. When we pump up bicycle tires, the piston is pulled back and sucks in air. That volume is created. Negative pressure is created too, and suck in air if there is an open hole, and the air goes there. This is what the diaphragm does, the piston. If we involve the thorax, we extend and open the pot, and then lift the tops. You can feel how you can breathe only with tops by raising the diaphragm and lowering the ribs. Try just to lift the collarbones. Like shallow. You can feel all three areas, and then we combine them into the one full breath. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. The longer you inhale and exhale, the more resources your health gets. The purpose of the training is that you include your breathing muscles and begin to create special conditions for the state of that gas mixture inside us. The balance between oxygen and CO2 is really important because it affects the immune system, lots of organs and particularly vessels and so on. That's why the task we have during this breathing training is to inhale slowly, exhale slowly. The slower, the better. In this manual, you can find special techniques that show how to do that. What steps you should take to gradually master that length of inhale and exhale through the respiratory rhythm. It is really nice and animated, and you find it there. Today's lesson is over. There is a special exercise that we are going to learn next time. It helps to improve breathing muscles and creates opportunities to affect many systems through breathing. First of all, the immune system. Our endocrine glands are responsible for immunity. With breathing and attention of our will, we can stimulate the immune system. But it comes next. Thank you for your attention. Bye. Take care.